there's different religions that just pray to Jesus and don't even pray to God at all.
Yeah. Well, we believe Jesus is God, so technically we would be praying to God.
That's another thing we can agree on, because like I said, I think God is everything and everyone within all of us, which in my version is the universe.
What up, church fam? I hope you're having a blessed day. And if you're new to the channel, my name is David and I'm a big follower of Christ, and I'm just trying to do my part to help spread the gospel message and hopefully expand his kingdom. After all, that's what we're called to do. But I'm a new channel, so if you like the video, I hope you'll subscribe and join me on this journey. Now let's get into it. Bryce Crawford recently sat down and had lunch with a satanist. They get into different topics on faith, religion, and who is God. I thought it was a good conversation. Wanted to check it out with y'all, so let's get into it.
We're about to be at Waffle House in like 5 minutes. We're going to hang out with Robbie, talk about Jesus, hear about his life, and hopefully share the gospel with him and plant some seeds in his life. Robbie, what's up, dude?
Nice, how you doing,
dude,
man?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks
nice
for coming. Dude, thanks for hanging.
Yeah, absolutely. So Waffle House, huh?
Come on, we got to go to Waffle House. Where else would we go?
I recently found out why Waffle House.
Okay.
I saw you brought the Bible with you too. I brought one of my Bibles with me because I do have a Bible collection. I do. I collect Bibles, and the oldest one's from the 1700s.
Oh my gosh.
I just love rare books, like whether it's demonology or any type of religion, old Bibles, because based off my experience, looking at these Bibles, I've noticed that the passages are different. Like sometimes they get reworded throughout the years.
Interesting.
And since I've done research on that, I've always noticed, like ever since the 1500s, when King James made his version of the Bible, totally changed. The version before that one, the stories were different, and I think King James turned it into his version of the Bible. And then from so on, there were still passages in there that I still think today that some people just didn't want us to know. And so I decided to start collecting Bibles so I can dig into it and say, hey, what's the difference? What do they not want us to know?
Interesting. I'm fascinated to hear that.
First off, if you don't know why they're at the Waffle House, you got to look up Bryce Crawford's testimony. It's a good one. I wanted to point out one thing that I noticed, which is kind of a theme throughout this video, is the guy Robbie, he's really misinformed about a lot of ideas in Christianity, a lot of our beliefs, even on the history and, evidence of Jesus and the Bible. He's real misinformed on a lot of it. And I come to find that a lot when it comes to non-believers or people who have animosity towards Jesus or the Bible or Christians in general, is that a lot of times their arguments, their points, they're usually not based in fact. They're usually misinformed on a lot of things. So sometimes you just got to get out there and talk to people if they're willing to talk, because a lot of times people, they just don't know. They don't have the truth. So they're stuck believing something that they may have heard or maybe saw on TV or just maybe picked up along the way, and they're thinking it's true. He mentions that he has older Bibles, right? Like older versions of the King James Bible, and they're a lot different than the newer Bibles that he has, which I believe that's true, because Bibles have been translated over time. And, we talked about this on the last video about the reliability of the Bible. Well, Bibles are translated, and they're translated to update the language, right? Different languages. They update it to the modern language of the time that we're speaking in, the different dialects. And then you also have different translations. The Bible translation it's like a spectrum. You have a word for word translations, and you have thought for thought translations on one end, and then you have everything in between that. So, he probably doesn't know that. So he's reading one passage in one Bible, and then he's going to a Bible that's probably 50 years newer, and it sounds totally different from the older Bible. And you can see how that would be confusing to someone who just doesn't understand or doesn't have the facts, right?
But you like rare books in general, or particularly like old Bibles?
General, I do like the old Bibles because of that reason. That's what kind of got me into it. Like, the most recent one that probably is a little weird is when they talk about fasting. I don't know what year. I'm trying to remember the passage.
Are you talking about in the New Testament, the one that
they totally took it out? I think.
Yeah, in my Bible it's not in there, but in the King James it's in there.
Why is that?
Yep.
Do you know why they did that?
So like for example in John chapter 8, you have this passage of the woman caught in adultery. And in that passage, and in Mark chapter 16, I don't know about the fasting passage if this is the case, but with the John chapter 8 and the Mark 16, there's like an asterisk at the top that says these aren't in the earliest manuscripts, but they still put it in there. So that would that would be saying, okay, we have 500 copies from 700 AD that have John chapter 8, but we only have 2 copies of John chapter 8 from 500 AD, just 200 years earlier, and it doesn't contain that section of the passage, but we have a bunch of manuscripts 200 years later that have it in there. Yeah. And so they put that asterisk going, even though we have more later.
So yeah, I thought that was weird because I figured fasting as, and not just with the Christian religion, it goes with other religions and spirituality, fasting. So
yep.
It's a very important thing, and I'm not just talking about like it's good for healing your body, which it is good for healing and repairing your body, fight cancer cells, the whole thing. But I've heard a lot of people get more in tune with their conscious mind and spirituality, and have more clear mind when they do a long fast, a water fast or a dry fast. And people that have the Christian religion, they get more closer and in tune with God. Like they get closer. It's like a sacrifice that they're doing that they pray, and it makes it stronger. And so it goes hand in hand with all these other different religions, but it's very important, and that's something I think everyone's got in common. So I just thought it was really weird that took it out of the Bible.
Yeah,
it seems so helpful and beneficial.
Bryce touched on this a little bit, but I'm just going to expand on what he said. But we actually have a more accurate Bible now than they did when they translated the Bible, when they did the King James translation. So when they did the King James translation, which was back in the early 1600s, from then until now, we found older manuscripts. So we actually have more information than they did at the time when they translated it to the King James version.
The transmission, the preservation of the Bible is so fascinating because, we have like the Greek, the Bible was written in Greek, Hebrew, and a little bit of Aramaic. So like in the Greek language, you have 5 different words for love, whereas like in the English language, we only have 1 word for love, and it's love.
Love, yeah.
So, they describe God's love would be a different word in the Greek than like me saying, oh, I love you. It'd be different from me, like a brother to a brother saying, hey, I love you, versus God saying he loves his people. They have 2 different words for that. Right. Whereas like we only have 1. So I think sometimes people get hung up on the English words going, oh, is that the same as this, or which translation? And it's we use different words that mean the same thing, but the transmission, the preservation of the message from Genesis to Revelation has stayed consistent through the manuscripts that we have, and that's always been a huge encouragement.
Because back then when they wrote the Bible, they only had a very small vocabulary. And I think also they describe things that I think we sometimes take literal in today's, and when we read the Bible, like when the descriptions of hell and stuff, they talk about fiery pits. I'm not totally convinced that's what hell actually is, to be honest with you. I think that's just the words that they use to describe that it's just a very unpleasant situation for those who, I don't think they have the right vocabulary to describe heaven and hell. I force believe we go somewhere, 100%, something we go somewhere. And I do think there is a difference from good and bad. Bad people are going to experience something much differently than those that do good.
Interesting. So how long have you...
I mean, he does have the concept down.
Been a Satanist. Explain what it means to be a Satanist.
So I've dabbled with the Satan community. I mean, I grew up Catholic, right? Okay. Old school Catholic. I was an altar boy, the whole shebang. I've gone.
Okay.
My cousins were Baptists. They were even Jehovah's and Christians, and I went with them all their churches to kind of get like, because we were kids and I experienced what they experienced. Some didn't even celebrate holidays, and it made me think at a young age, like, what's going on with this religion thing? Like, why is everybody got they're like die hard? I'm this is my religion and I'm not changing it. And so I noticed that the stories are kind of similar. They almost worship the same, but not really. Even the Christian and Catholic almost similar, but Christians just don't worship like Mother Mary and Saint Joseph and all that stuff. There's little differences and similarities to that. So I had friends as I was getting older that are atheists. And atheists can also identify as a Satanist.
Yeah, I found that out when we went to Salem and the Satanic Temple. And we were trying to talk to some people, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm atheist." Like everyone we talked to was like, "Yeah, I'm atheist," and I was like, "Why do you work at the Satanic Temple?"
So that's the thing. There are different types of Satanism.
Interesting.
Yeah. So today's modern Satanism is not the worship of Satan. It's so weird because
it's like a political movement.
It's kind of like that. I'm gonna be kind of blunt here because I'm not totally like I'm not a Satanist per se, but thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. There you go, guys.
Thank you.
I found myself in the middle, and the reason I'm kind of like all around with this religion stuff right now, and I've dabbled. I've gone to the Satanic Temple too.
You know, when he talks about his religious experiences and his background, right, growing up as a Catholic, right, being involved in the Catholic Church, having that as, you know, his in his past, right, and then having Jehovah's Witnesses in his family too, right, his cousins growing up with them, so he's seen one way of worshiping in the Catholic Church, right? Going to mass, doing all the traditions they do, and then he's seeing his Jehovah's Witness family and how they worship, and he says not celebrating holidays, and he's not understanding, right? So it makes me wonder if he's had, and I hate to even say Protestant Christian, I just like to be called a Christian, a follower of Christ, but if he's had that Protestant Christian background, right, as you know, going to a Protestant church, right? Because it's, people might say it's the same thing if you're Catholic, you know, or you're going to a Protestant church, and no, they're totally different, right? It's different from growing up, let's say, going to a Pentecostal church or a Southern Baptist church than it is going to a Catholic church. It's a totally different experience, right? So maybe he's never had that, and he's always, you know, seen things that he felt was not right because it's not right, right? And you know, he's seen the way Jehovah's Witness worship, their ideology, the same with the Catholic Church. So maybe he knew something wasn't right because he's obviously a smart guy. You know, he got the concept of heaven and hell down. And you know, a lot of people agree with him that, you know, is hell a place where it's burning and fire? You know, the Bible describes it as weeping and gnashing of teeth. Some people don't believe that. Some people believe that, you know, it's a place that where you're separated from God. I mean, and that's more than enough. That's more than enough of a punishment if you're separated from God, right? You know, what type of life is that, you know, for eternity? So, I mean, he's obviously a smart guy. I feel like he may have been confused from just having that background, being around Catholics and Jehovah's Witness, and just, in my opinion.
Satanism?
This form of Satanism, and that's kind of what it is, because there's, like I said, there's different forms of Satanism where it's a little bit where they do worship Lucifer, but today's modern Satanism is like atheist. They don't believe in a life after death.
But you're not atheist.
I'm not atheist, and I'm kind of like in the middle of being more spiritual.
Okay.
Based on everything that I've learned. So one thing that made me dabble with the Satanist part is that there are a few things I do agree with. You know, respect for yourself. The community of people are just really, really nice, and everybody has this like idea that they're just people that want to do harm, sacrifice. I'm like, it's nothing like that. Like, the community is really good. They're doing like drives of like giving away their diapers and stuff to children and communities and donations and stuff like that. The part where I draw the line where I won't fully go into Satanism is because I do believe in there's a life after death. They believe in don't show love to those that don't show love to you.
Eye for an eye.
If somebody was to do me wrong or call me bad names, I would actually say I hope they find the right level of frequencies in their life and everything turns around for them, and hopefully they get out of whatever phase of life they're in and stuff like that. So I don't like to bring any negative energy. I'm all anti-negative energy because I think that's just the way to live a really happy life.
Okay.
So that's where we draw a line. That's why I wouldn't fully commit to Satanism. But there are things I do, like I will attend the temple. I do go there. I have friends in it. So I respect it like I respect all religions. I've gone to the Catholic Church, the Jehovah's Church, and I respect it and I learn it all. So when I go there, I'm there to learn and take it in. And the reason this all started was because I started doing paranormal investigations.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of things. I've had attachments. So I've seen a lot of things. And based off the Bibles that I've collected, the priests that I've talked to, I've had attachments. Like where I went to a haunted jail in Palestine, Texas. Something attached to me for 2 months. I was negative all the time. I was getting sick all the time. bad luck all the time. I'm like, this is insane. I actually went to the Catholic Church to have a priest bless me.
Yes, ma'am.
And after a while, I mean, the anxiety was out the roof. But I knew it was an attachment. It was unexplainable. I've heard voices. I've seen things on my videos and stuff when I look back.
And a biscuit for Grace.
And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, because supposedly what the Bible says is when you pass, you are laid to rest until Jesus Christ returns. Or you go to the pearly gates in the spiritual realm, and we can't see that stuff. But like, there's no way that paranormal should be real.
Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for Robbie. Thank you for this meal.
Yeah, he's obviously been dabbling into a lot of new age, right? Just based on how he talks. You know, he says, I hope people find the right frequency. And, you know, he's dabbling into the paranormal, right? He said he went to a jailhouse and a haunted jail, and he felt like something attached to him. So he knows the spirit realm is real, right? He doesn't know enough to stay away from that, right? So, and I feel like he's searching for truth. I feel like all his life, you know, he's been told this, and, you know, from the Catholic Church, he's been told this, from Jehovah's Witnesses. He goes searching for truth. He's looking for paranormal stuff. He's dabbling into New Age. And, you know, this path that he's on, he's searching for truth. And all it takes is for an encounter like this, right? Where Bryce meets with him and talks to him and hopefully plants the seed, right? Which I believe that he will plant a seed, and he'll think about this conversation, right? Because sometimes people don't know, they don't have the truth. And, you know, every now and then, you know, someone will come along and help push them in the right direction, right? And give them the gospel. And from that point on, is their choice to make.
Christian religion in a whole. That's why I'm pretty much studying all religions. I'm going to all the churches. I'm doing it over and over. I just want to get a better understand of what's going on. So the reason there's paranormal investigators while I'm doing it is because it's really confusing. People want answers. Things do happen, paranormal phenomena, and I think it goes hand in hand with what the Bible says. I think the Bible talks a little bit about paranormal experiences, but I'm trying to remember the passage, but correct me if I'm wrong. You may have even read it, I'm not sure, but I've done some of my research with the Bible. Is that, like I said, when you pass, you're laid to rest until Jesus Christ return. So anybody that experiences paranormal phenomenon, like say this place is haunted and Joe lives here, I'm like, hey, is Joe here? I get a sign from Joe. Well, in reality, that's not really Joe. It's a demon or some entity that's never walked the earth that's pretending to be Joe.
So you said something interesting about the afterlife.
It's funny because, like I said, obviously he's a smart dude, right? And he's searching for truth, but he's dabbling in too much stuff that he gets all these different ideas, and he's kind of like just combining them, and he's doing exactly what the Bible says not to do, to not lean on your own understanding. And I feel like that's what he's doing, right? Like he's talking about when you die, you sleep, you know, until I don't know if he said the last days or judgment day. And, you know, some people do believe that it's called soul sleep, right? But we know the Bible doesn't teach that, right? And, you know, he's saying that there's spirits around, or he's getting paranormal activity when he's out there searching for people's loved ones who have passed away. And he knows that they're not really the loved ones. He knows that it's something demonic, right? And obviously that's what it is. I mean, does he know to what extent where those demons come from, where the unclean spirits come from? No. And that's what he would have a full understanding if, you know, he really studied the Bible, and you know, if he gave his life to Christ and started studying the word, he'll have more of an understanding. But right now he's kind of dabbling into things that he shouldn't be. And he's witnessing all this stuff and exposing himself, you know, into a lot of stuff that's not good, a lot of demonic stuff.
I've never seen anything in the scripture where it talks about we're laid to rest until Jesus returns.
Okay.
The perspective that I would take is we believe that God exists outside of time and space. So right now, God sees our birth and our death at the same time. Does that make sense? Because he's outside of the timeline?
It absolutely
So
does.
when we die, we stand before the Lord, because now we're outside of time. Right. We're not bound by time. So hypothetically, when I die, I'm going to stand before Jesus. And on Judgment Day, there's going to be either justice or grace. I'm either going to receive the grace of God if I've surrendered my life to him and put faith and trust in him, or I'm going to receive justice on that day.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier. That when I say I'm more spiritual, based off everything that I've experienced, paranormal, all the religions and stuff, I see it as when you say God, like God is not some guy that's sitting on his throne looking down at us, right? God is actually you. It's actually Him. It's actually this table. It's everything. God is everything, right?
Eastern mysticism.
And so when I see myself as spiritual, I see God as the universe. The universe is everything. We're the universe. We're all made of the same thing. We're all in tune with our conscious mind. If we level ourselves on the right frequency, things can get on the right level. When people pray because they so firmly believe in God, right? And when they pray, it happens, they call it a miracle. But in my form, I see it, it's almost similar. If I put myself in the right frequencies and I try to tell myself and put myself first, it's called manifestation. So manifestation to me is similar to a miracle, but you just have to truly, truly believe within your conscious mind that it's gonna work out.
What is the
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place, right? He's even getting into a little bit of pantheism where, he believes that everything is God, right? Anything and everything is God. The universe and God it's all one. It's all, the creator is the creation, right? So he's kind of just taking parts here and there, and he's coming up with his own belief system, which is not true, right? And there's a lot of danger in that too, because like I said, he's dabbling into stuff that he really, shouldn't be dabbling into, especially without the protection of Christ, right? As a believer, we're protected, right? And we can pray for protection, and he's just exposing himself to all that. So, but I really feel for this guy. I mean, he's willing to have the conversation with a Christian. I don't know how all that lined up, how they linked up, but he was willing to sit down with a Christian and have a conversation. And I feel like that's big. A lot of people, they don't even want to have the conversation, right? They'll reject us anytime we go out and try to, spread the word, or even just wearing a hat that says Jesus is King on it offends people. So the fact that he's willing to sit down and have this conversation, I feel like that's, there's going to be a seed planted there, and that's what we should be ready for. We should be reaching out to people like this, right? We should be reaching out to the lost, and a lot of people won't receive it, but there are people out there that are waiting. They're waiting for a sign, and there's people out there who will receive it, right? And I believe if we go out there, on our day-to-day lives, while we're at work, while we're at the stores, find those opportunities to reach out to someone and start that conversation, right? It might be weird at first, and like I said, people might reject you. People will reject you. They rejected Christ, so of course they're gonna reject us. But it's what we're called to do. Matthew 28:19, go out and spread the gospel to all the nations, baptizing in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But we got to pray for this guy as well as the other lost ones. But I believe a seed was planted there, and I know the Lord can do amazing things. And with that, I'm gonna leave it right here. The video's already getting too long, but if you want to watch the full video, I'll leave the link down in the description. So pray for me. I'll be praying for y'all. I love y'all. I'm out.